Welcome, everyone. Okay, so today we've got a truly eye-opening visual guide and explainer for you. We're looking at a fantastic piece from the blog Kafea Shipembersi, which, by the way, translates to coffee and diapers. It's this absolutely brilliant resource focused on finances, life, and practical guides for families. And honestly, today's topic, it's going to hit close to home for pretty much anyone raising kids. We're looking at exactly why parents should actively share their financial blunders with their children rather than, hiding them. I know, it sounds totally backwards. We usually try to hide our credit card bills the exact same way we hide the good snacks from our kids, right? But the insights here are literally game-changing. Okay, let's dive into this.
So, why on earth would I tell my child I made bad choices? Won't it just terrify them? Look, that fear right there, it probably echoes a thought you've had yourself, and let me tell you, it is completely 100% valid. As parents, as mentors, our very first instinct is protection. We desperately want to be the superheroes who have absolutely everything figured out, don't we? So the counterintuitive instinct is to hide those bad choices to protect the child from stress. We think, oh man, if they know we struggled with credit cards or missed a mortgage payment because we kind of messed up our budget, their whole sense of security is just going to shatter. But this explainer challenges that deeply ingrained assumption right head on. And right here is where we hit a massive paradigm shift. Perfection creates anxiety. Reality creates trust. Think about that for a second. When we project this flawless, perfectly polished financial image, we're actually setting an impossible standard. And let's be real, kids are incredibly perceptive. They pick up on that silent stress when bills arrive or when you're quietly agonizing over some unexpected expense. A child's true peace of mind doesn't magically happen because of your parental silence. Actually, scratch that, it's the exact opposite. True peace of mind comes from understanding how the real world actually works. Showing them the reality, that builds a foundation of solid, unshakable trust. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is what happens when we finally drop the superhero act. The lessons children absorb are just incredible. Admitting our mistakes teaches them critical life skills that, frankly, a lot of 40-year-old adults still completely lack. First, they learn that people make mistakes. It normalizes failure, so they aren't going to panic when they inevitably stumble themselves. Second, they learn that money is something to be actively managed, not just swept under the rug because we're embarrassed. And third, they learn that literally every single problem has a solution, but only if you're brave enough to acknowledge it first. Think of it this way. The author brilliantly frames our past errors not as heavy baggage dragging us down, but as armor. Your past mistakes become their shield for the future. When your kid hears about your bad loans, or those periods of emotional spending, or how you delayed saving up just to buy something totally impulsive and then really suffered the consequences, it acts as a concrete, tangible example. They get the lesson, right? But they are completely spared that heavy price tag. You took the financial hit so they don't have to. You're taking your pain and turning it into this powerful, protective tool for them. And this brilliantly illustrates the massive difference in how we communicate these lessons. On one side, we've got empty theory. You know the drill, sitting a kid down and just lecturing them with, you need to save your money. It's dry, it's moralizing, and honestly, it goes in one ear and right out the other. But on the other side, we have real, messy life. Saying something like, look, I didn't save for years, and let me tell you how incredibly hard it was for me afterwards. Wow. The impact of lived experience is just undeniable. It's relatable, it's visceral, and it sticks with them far, far longer than any textbook advice ever could. To actually pull this off, we have to talk about a word that makes a lot of people squirm: vulnerability. But in this context, it simply means acknowledging a mistake. It means showing your child that you are human and that you're an approachable parent. And I really want to reassure you here, acknowledging an error doesn't make you look weak. No way. It makes you look human. When you drop that superhero cape, you build a relationship where your child becomes so much more open, curious, and willing to ask you questions without any fear of judgment. This brings us to a fundamental shift in how kids perceive wealth. We absolutely need to present money as a learned skill. It is so common for kids to have this wild misconception that money is just about luck or simply getting a paycheck or, my favorite, treating the ATM like it's some magic money printer in the wall. By walking them through your own financial history, you pull back the curtain. You show them that being good with money isn't some genetic trait you're magically born with. It's a muscle, and it's a muscle that you have to actively build. Sharing your financial failures demonstrates a few absolutely crucial realities. It shows that managing money is an active skill, that skills take time to build, and most importantly,
It is perfectly normal not to know everything right at the start. By sharing exactly where you stumbled, you naturally turn yourself into their very first financial mentor. You are teaching them profound life lessons without ever having to preach, lecture, or raise your voice. You're showing them the learning curve and proving that, hey, it's perfectly okay to stumble at the starting line.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because by establishing this open dynamic early on, you are actively future-proofing your relationship for those tricky teenage years. See, when they're young, the financial stakes are relatively low. Maybe they blow their allowance on candy, right? But as they grow, those stakes get incredibly high. If they learn early on that money is a safe, open topic in your household, they are going to carry that security with them straight into young adulthood. Just look at how this long-term payoff unfolds. Today, you start with simple honesty about your money and your mistakes. Fast forward to when they're 16 years old. They're going to face peer pressure, real dilemmas, and serious temptations to spend recklessly just to keep up with their friends. Fast forward again to 18, when real-world expenses, student loans, and credit card offers start hitting them. Establishing that trust early guarantees they will come to you with those difficult questions later. They'll be seeking your advice rather than turning to uninformed friends or, let's be honest, random questionable financial advice on TikTok. So the crucial point is choosing leadership over shame. This is really the ultimate climax of this whole approach. We have to fundamentally reframe the act of talking about our financial mistakes. I know it is so easy to view our past bad investments, missed payments, or mounting debt as the source of deep shame that just has to be buried and hidden away forever. But the source material urges us to look at it completely differently. Sharing your financial mistakes isn't an act of shame. It is a profound, incredibly empowering act of leadership for your family. As the article beautifully concludes, I really want to speak directly to you right now. You do not need to be embarrassed by where you went wrong financially, because your mistakes, they are not shadows. They are luminous lessons. When you bring them out into the light and share them with your kids, they transform into bright, guiding beacons. They become the exact lessons that will ensure your children walk through life with steps far more secure than you ever did. Just let that sink in for a moment. We end this explainer with a final provocative question for you to take away. How will you use your own mistakes to guide your child's steps? The information we've explored today isn't just empty theory, it's a direct challenge. Step up, shed that exhausting need for perfection, and totally embrace your role as an honest, vulnerable leader in your home. Don't hide the stumbles, use them. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really, really hope it sparks some amazing conversations in your household.